So today I'm so excited to have beautiful, talented, freaking amazing Leven Rambin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here as a subject of your interview today. It's exciting.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys, and a lot of you will recognize her. She's been in a lot of TV shows, movies. One of my favorites, The Hunger Games, as Glimmer. When you slid into my DMs, I literally didn't even believe it was you. Like, like, oh my God, Leven, are you fucking kidding me? And when I jumped on the Zoom call with you, I realized something. And I feel like so many women need to hear this from you because, like, they think, oh my God, my problems, nobody understands it. And some people don't have these problems. And what I love about you, that you're so freaking raw, you're so vulnerable. I connected with you. And I would love for you to share like some of your struggles that you were seeing and experiencing when I first met you, because I seriously feel it will inspire so many women like, oh shit, like she's a human being. She has fucking same issues that we've gone through. So
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my issues was that you said of like, oh my God, it's Leven Rambin like wanting to talk to me. And it's like that did not help me in my dating life at all because I was trying to be on the apps. Like I really wanted to meet like a normal person. And a lot of the times people thought I was like catfish or like fake. So they like would or they would say, like, you're too pretty to be on an app. Like, what are you doing here? And it just made me feel really like or you're this is really you, like you're what are you doing here? And it made me feel like shit, like, well, I just am a person and I just want love and I want true love. And it makes me feel isolated when no one can see that I'm like a person, or they're just too like starstruck or too yeah. It made me question myself and doubt myself, like, what am I doing here? Am I making a mistake? you
right,
know
right.
it, this wrong? Like, should I be like dating an NFL player or something? Like, but I knew deep down I didn't want that. So it was going to take like a very special person. Anyway,
No,
I
but
guess my struggle,
well,
sorry.
just to speak on that, what you said, because I do feel like that is seriously, like, I can imagine that. Like, you put yourself out there trying to connect with people and they put you on this pedestal. They're like, and it's really hard to connect. And I'm all about emotionally connecting with people. So, like, I love when I connected with you. I got on the call and I was like, oh shit. But I didn't say it was shit to you. I was like trying to keep it cool.
Yeah.
but but I realized immediately, Leven, like, honestly, that you are freaking real. You're a human. I love that you were like put yourself out there and connected. I was excited to help you, but I will say when I first met you, you felt guarded, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was so guarded from what I just told you, that like people were like, oh, like you want love. I'm like, why aren't you dating Brad Pitt? And it's like, that just wasn't helping me to emotionally connect with anyone. And so I felt very guarded from that. I also felt very guarded from like past traumatic relationships that I had had that we talked about. Um, I had been single for 5 years. Like I had been dating and going on dates, and 1 week here, 2 weeks there, kind of a thing, but it never went anywhere because I was so triggered and so guarded all the time. And I had to work with you in order to figure that out. So I just, it was very unfortunate that I was in my own way all the time, but I've been through a lot with relationships and I take responsibility for, you know, what I can, but, I'm sure a lot of people relate. Like I was, kind of like in a really, really, toxic marriage, and that rattled me deeply. um so I had a lot of factors that went into me being guarded.
Yeah, 100%. And I think
also
that, like,
also I didn't trust coaches anymore. Like I had some bad experience with coaches
yeah.
and this, and I was just like, like everyone is like a piece of dirt. So I was very scared just in general.
Yeah, no, and I felt it. And honestly, I was willing to just be really patient because I knew you were guarded, and that's okay. I feel like I had to kind of break the wall down a little bit and just show up for you. And I think
Mhm.
that, you know, a lot of women have experienced this period. Like, how many times, you know, you're waiting for someone to show up for you and they don't, or you put your heart out there and they fucking smash it. So like, you know, I 100% am so happy that I was like, whatever pace you want to do, like, if you don't, it's okay. Like, I'll show up for you whenever you need. And like, little by little, you were able to open up to me. And I realized so many things that you were struggling with. So many of my clients, like, I feel like so many women that listen to this podcast are going to benefit, because I think the self-worth, like realizing how freaking worthy you are. People probably see you and they're like, oh, she's like, probably thinks she's like perfect and whatever. And it's like, no, we fucking all struggle with our insecurities and we struggle with certain things. So like, can you speak to that about your self-worth and all that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, people like, again, people say that, oh, you must you have such an easy time. And that makes me feel even worse because I'm like, well, dang, like I don't have a reason to be struggling with this, or why is my self-image so far apart from the way people view me, or something like that. And then I was like, well, are the way people viewing me based on superficial qualities like my career or my looks or my Instagram, or like, is that even important? Like, is that what I should be basing my self-worth on? Because it doesn't seem very solid to me at all. And when I was doing that, I was attracting, you know, guys in the industry and player types and assholes. And, you know, it wasn't like a solid feeling. It was just sort of like a fake feeling. And I knew I wanted to connect with somebody on a deeper emotional level, but I didn't know how to do that. Um, and yeah, I had a lot of insecurities about like being damaged from my relationships in the past, guys, you know, being intimidated by me or whatever that means. um I mean,
Yes.
turning 3 was like a big one for me. I kind of was like, oh my God, like how much longer am I gonna allow my past relationship to like run my life? 5 years had felt like enough. And um I was like, am I just gonna wait around till I'm 35, 36, 37, 38? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just was like, I looked back and was just like, dang, like 5 years I've been like overthinking and like toiling and feeling like a victim, and everyone else seems to have moved on except for me. So apparently this isn't going to get better unless I change something. So that was like a harsh reality pill to
Yeah.
swallow, that I'm responsible for my own suffering at that point. Not to say I hadn't been through something really difficult, but 5 years later, it's on me, you know? So
Yeah.
um, I just had really bad beliefs that men were all disgusting, cheating pigs and liars.
Yes.
Um,
I
you
know.
know,
And
and
that, yeah.
it was my job to protect myself against these like ogres. So that obviously wasn't helping me, right? So
No, and I feel like when you came in, it was definitely a lot of that victim mindset, which I do think a lot of people are doing that they don't even realize it. I love that you were able to receive, because I am a freaking tough love coach for sure. But I think like that's one of the things that you and I, like, I feel like I always gave it to you straight. I don't fucking sugarcoat. I'm like, we have no time to waste. Time is of the
yeah.
essence. So that being said, I do feel like you wanted something deep and lasting, but you
Mhm.
had certain requirements of like some things that you that were in your own way. Like, oh shit, like you're blocking yourself from finding your person. And this is so what are some things that I told you that you're like, oh shit, Jackie, no. I have a
Yeah, no,
couple in mind.
you definitely were super tough love. But at the same time, I needed to be like shaked out of like a mindset that was hurting me. And it was hard to digest at sometimes because I had been so long like carrying this mindset or these beliefs around, and you would be like, no, this isn't it. And I'd be like, what? You know, it would take me a day or two to like accept that even I could be like mistaken, or that it was meant to serve to protect me for a while, but it's not working anymore. Like, and it's time to let it go. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like what? So, yeah, I had a list of requirements. I think with social media and like the feminist, agendas around, it's not to say it's unrealistic expectations and standards, but it feels, now looking back, it feels more like a defense mechanism to protect yourself against evil men that are just trying to take advantage of you. Like this list of requirements of like, gotta be successful, gotta be tall, gotta be rich, gotta be hot, gotta be, have no baggage, no, gotta treat you like a queen in every second of every day, gotta, or else fuck them. That's kind of how I felt. And it felt like I was like going into battle every day or every time I'd go on a date. So you kind of pointed me how my ego was, those certain qualities were more ego related and weren't necessary or facilitative of like a long-term emotional connection, and those things aren't really important. And then I read a book called Marry Him. I don't know if you've heard that one by me.
I gotta check it out. I have to check it out. No.
Jackie. Yeah, it's Married by Lori Gottlieb, I think is her name, but it's talking about, so after we started working together and I started realizing that some of my, list was like bullshit, like, in my mind, it was like Brad Pitt or no one was good enough. And how emotionally unavailable is that? But your girlfriends like cheer you on with that. And they're like, yeah, bitch, like you deserve everything. And F him if he's not this and that, or that was my girlfriends anyway. But, and myself to other girls, I'd be like, F him if he's not, And, but at the same time, I read this book called Marry Him, and it was talking about how like those expectations are so unrealistic, and it's setting these women up to be single and well into their 40s. And if you get like 80% of what you're looking for, 80% of the time, that's really good odds. And like freaking marry him. Stop overthinking. Stop waiting for Mr. Perfect. And like India, they have arranged marriages where it's like you match up your values. I'm not saying that's, not promoting that, but she talks about it in her book. It's not that complicated to find a good match for you, as far as like your values, your goals, and
right.
Everything else is like figure outable. But women are looking for this like perfect glass slipper of a man to just fit every single quadrant of wants and desires, and it's not realistic, and it's leaving a lot of people like hurt. And so
Right.
I realized I was that person too, and I was like setting men up for failure every single time I would engage with one or go on a date or talk to one. It was like the odds were already stacked against him. So
yeah, I hear you completely. And I do feel like and the things on someone's list, I feel like it's so important to evaluate. And like, I am not for settling when it comes to like what you really want, core values, like, are you really aligned? And so I do feel like, when we first met, I was like, fuck all that physical shit, Leven, like the whole height shit. I was like, change that filter. Like, and you were like, no, Jackie, I am tall. I need to tell. And I'm like, trust me. I promise you, like, just trust me and this process, because everything, like, I don't think people realize it, is emotional connection is everything. It's gold. And like, it doesn't matter, like that chemistry will come. Like chemistry is fucking crazy when you have that emotional connection, right?
Yeah, and I feel like once I took all the physical stuff off the table, which yeah, you were like, I was like, Jackie, but that means I'm settling, and I just had the wrong idea of what settling actually means, because everything is viewed as settling these days. And you were like, just try it my way this time, like just this time, like just one time. And I was like, because I realized what I was doing wasn't working for me. And once I took the physical stuff off the table and started reading about like working with you, and also reading about like secure relationships and healthy men, I found chemistry, a lot of attraction through the way I was being treated by my boyfriend now. Like he was shorter than I would have like, initially sought out. But the way he was showing up for me every single day before we had even met, on the phone and on text and stuff, I was like, well, this is what I should be looking for. Like, this is what I'm looking for now that I've gotten over my crap. And yeah, I found a lot of chemistry in the way that he was treating me, like, really consistent, really reliable, like zero excuses. I
Exactly.
found that attractive, you know?
Yes, like
Yeah,
100%. I love that. And remember, you guys, like, and I always say this, like, crazy love. People are so used to fucking toxic love, and like, oh my God, it's so like sexy. Like, I don't know if he likes me anymore. Like, what we want to know. Like, we want to know. Like, it is sexy when a man knows what he wants and he like shows up, his actions are aligned to his fucking words. I'm like, oh my God, that's hot. Like, talk dirty to me. Yes.
yeah, totally. And there were times where I was like, is he like too into me? You know, but I was like, that is so like traumatized, like coded, like
Yeah.
I'm so used to guys playing games with me or being not interested, and I perceive that as games, not interested for whatever reason, whether it has nothing to do with me or they don't like me. It doesn't even matter at the end of the day. But I did find that to be attractive. And once I started healing with you and like a therapist, I was just like, oh, these are like wounded, you know, this is what I want, this consistent, reliable. So even if I had doubts, I just like pushed myself to like receive that from him. And it turned out to be exactly what I needed and wanted. So very
Ah,
attractive.
I got chills. I got goosebumps because I see like you're so, just being on this journey with you and just seeing from like one side to now, I absolutely love that you were so open. Like, you became like, you're willing to put your guard down. You're willing to lean in. And I saw that you like challenge yourself, because sometimes all of us are like, oh my God, it's so familiar. Like, we don't even realize subconsciously we're used to toxic shit. So like, I love that you said that, he was showing up for you. Oh, is he too into me? And like, we're so
Mhm.
used to the playing the games and we're used to the toxic things. So I love that you trusted in what you wanted, what we've talked about. Like, let me do something that's unfamiliar. Like, this is strange, this is different, but this is at the end of the day what you wanted: a
Yeah.
secure, attached relationship, not a fucking
Mhm.
one filled with anxiety and like
Yeah,
wondering. So
totally.
how long have you guys been together now?
3 months, but it feels like 3 years. We both feel that way. Like I feel like I've never been with anyone else in my entire life. We are like totally soulmates. It's so crazy. We're like so similar. We have the same sense of humor. I'm basically living here now. This is beautiful home that I did have certain things on my list that seemed, you know, almost like too much, but once I think this is how like the universe works in a way. Like once I stopped looking for the superficial shit, like the looks, the house, the lifestyle, that's when I found it in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like I started focusing on the person part, the character, the consistency, the like loyalty, the trustworthiness, basically just the consistency and effort. I mean, that's when all the other stuff came reverse. Why, you know what I mean? Like when I was focusing on the physical attraction, having a great house, having a life set up, more superficial qualities, I wasn't finding that. But when I like stopped looking for it, I found it. So I
Yes.
still laugh about that sometimes. Because I stopped being superficial with the looks and the status or whatever it may be. And then I feel like I gave some guys a chance that weren't, obviously not my boyfriend now, but now I think he's like so hot. Like he's like the hottest guy I've dated in years. And it's just funny how it worked out like that. So
Yeah. No, I'm a big, huge believer on, first of all, like alignment. I feel like your focus was on the superficial things that were like, which a lot of people do. And when you took it off the table, it's not to say, oh yeah, and now you're gonna end up marrying an ugly guy that's like, no, like at all, zero.
Right.
And I feel like when you focus on the most important things, the values, I love that you keep saying how he showed up for you. He was consistent, reliable. Something that women are just completely settling over and over is when someone doesn't make you a priority. And from day one, he's always made you a priority. Like, am I understanding that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I,
I feel
I-
like that is something that, and I want to be clear too, because men will tell you, or people will tell you who they are and what their priorities are from day one. And I feel like one of the biggest things that we always talked about was like the questions, like asking questions and like digging deep, be fearless. Like your
mhm.
person will not run away. They will be intentional and say, I'm ready to share my life with somebody. Not like, I don't know, I guess I'll just see what happens. It's like, what the
How
fuck?
many
So
times that like verbatim? I heard that verbatim by so many guys before. Yeah, I used to never ask questions on dates. Like I used to just play it cool, be flirty, and try to look hot, or and try to assess every second if they were halfway decent. But that was so anxiety producing, and obviously there was no emotional connection. And I think what you're saying about like the consistency, I think a lot of women like gaslight themselves to believe that, getting a text every 3 or 4 days is enough for them. Or like so many times that I hear like, well, he hasn't even met you yet. Like, of course you're not a priority. Like, or you guys have only been out one time. Like, why would he text you every day or call you? Like, you're crazy. You are too anxious. Like, you are too needy. Like, and so I thought that. I thought, oh well, God, that's asking for too much. And I need to just shove that part of myself down and accept these crumbs that I'm receiving because maybe this is as good as it gets. And but once I started working with you and consistency started being something that I valued more, I could see a lot more clearly when a guy was even if he wasn't a bad guy, he just was too busy at that point of his life, or he was traveling or whatever. If he didn't text me for 3 4 days, I started to see, oh, like this isn't what I want, and this is not an opportunity for me to play mind games to try to get him like more interested in me. Like this is the time to say bye bye. Like it is not. This is not a challenge. This is not a challenge I want to take on. And it's not about me. It's the guy. Like there is a guy. There are men, plenty of them, who are consistent as who they are. It has nothing to do with how much they like you, or how good you are. So I kind of always thought that if a guy wasn't texting me, or calling me, I wasn't doing something right. But that's not it. And so when I met Dawson, he just showed up every single day without fail, so from the minute we matched. And I was so able to see clearly which guys in the past had not done that and who I had believed like, oh, this is normal.
yes. And you said a couple of things that are gold that I have to like, wait, everybody, I hope you listen to that, because that scarcity mindset is a real freaking thing. And also like, just like, oh my gosh, it's just so hard out there. And like, wait a second, no. And when you start to lean into like the abundance, and I love that you're like, there's so many men that are, but if you're just taking whatever you can get, and you're like, oh, I'm asking for too much, and all that the story, the narrative that we tell ourselves, you're going to be wasting time on the wrong guys. And so I
Yeah.
love that you said, I was like such a proud moment. You're like, it's bye-bye. I'm like, it's like the faster you can see it, and the faster you can see that this is not a person that's aligned to you. That's why you got to ask those questions from day one. And you mentioned one other thing that I have to say, that you matched. And so many people are like, no to apps. So where did you meet him?
Okay. So, I mean, I felt like before I started working with you, the apps were like a wasteland of anxiety and despair, and like a self-sabotaging cycle of depression and disappointment, which only served to reinforce the stories that it's so hard and so this and so that. And I didn't realize that I was being so passive in my approach to dating apps. Like before we worked together, you were like, what's your list? Like, what? I was like, I don't have a fucking list. I just take whatever life, presents me and try to fit them into a mold. And when that doesn't happen, I'm upset and resentful. Um, and heartbroken again. So I didn't know was the chooser here. I didn't know I had any power in the situation. I felt like helpless and victimized by the dating world. And so when you introduce that idea of like clarity and taking my power back from, you know, the big bad world of apps that are so hard, and all the social media says it's so awful, and every app and YouTube says it's so terrible. And started viewing it in a more positive light, how it's like a tool and an endless resource, like men just who want relationships and connection, but you're just like, stigmatizing them into this like group of like horrendous, men. I was able to say, okay, like, I guess it felt like when I was like going on the apps, I was like going to a restaurant, like when I really wanted like pasta, and like it was every food in the world, and I was just bumping into walls, and I just couldn't figure out how to get to what I wanted, because I thought it was all this game of chance. But I obviously met my boyfriend on Bumble, which I still can't believe, but like I'm like, it's such a shock to me. But I will state also that I have this group of girlfriends who are like models and successful and beautiful and vibrant and young. And they like forced me to stay committed to the apps because they all met their sweet husbands on the apps. And I'm like, if girls like you are on the apps out here, giving it a go, and y'all met your sweet, devoted, loyal ass husbands, and I can see the proof in the pudding, like, and they're pushing me to keep it going. If it's good enough for them, I can figure it out. So I, with your help and with that, I was able to push past my biases and my negativity. But it's funny too, like I had this list, right? We had this list, and there were guys that I was giving chances before I met Dawson, like, that guys that life was just kind of throwing at me. And I was like, well, this is an opportunity to give this guy a chance. Obviously didn't work out. You were with me every step of the way for that. That was really scary, to give guys like a real chance, not just write them off or assume the worst. Like, I was showing up on these dates, and I was going about it in a different way and asking, tough questions. Like, what are you looking for? What are the things that are important to you? Like these questions that people like, never say that on a first date. And I'm like, F that. After working with you, I'm like, say it on a first date. Like, even my brother was like, if you ever said that to me on a first date, I would have run away. And I was like, good. I wouldn't want to be with you because you're awful.
And you're my brother. So.
Well, like someone like
I know.
I scare off people, and I'm really happy I did. So I wasn't.
Yes.
But yeah, we freaking met on Bumble. Oh, what I was gonna say was I did have this list. I was very like intense. Maybe I overcompensated in the beginning with asking the questions because I was so, I just was still figuring it out, and maybe I was a little intense, but whatever, who cares now? But, I was always looking at like, what school did they go to? What's going on in the background of the photos? Like how old are they? How tall are they? What does it say their level? Are they on vacations? Like, I was always looking at these like crazy qualifications on their profiles, and reading into their answers and like picking them apart. And when I let go of all the superficial stuff and I had my list, Dawson had barely anything on his profile, Jackie. I don't think I ever told you, but like he had like pictures of him and dogs, like holding up dogs, like 2 dogs, then his huge dog Peggy as like one of the main pictures. And
but wait, but just to say, a dog lover was absolutely important and on your list, and 100% I agree with that. I fucking don't. I think it's actually bizarre when people don't like dogs. Like, I'm like, what is wrong with you? And you're a dog lover and owner, so yeah.
Huge animal lover, dog owner. The guy I dated before Dawson actually didn't like dogs and was like scared of dogs, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. And I know that sounds so crazy, but like, dogs are a huge part of my life. I want to have more dogs, and I love animals. So this isn't aligned, and I'm sorry, this is like not going to work out. But so Dawson barely had anything written on his profile. But I saw the dogs, and I was kind of like in this moment of like, God, I've been trying so hard to match with the perfect match on here. Or in other, other guys I was dating in real life. I kind of was at the point where I had not given up, but I had felt like a lot of these dates were very like kind of tough and disappointing. And I was just sort of like, ugh, like I just want a guy. I just want to meet this dog. Like honestly, like this dog, he has like a 180-pound dog. And I was kind of like in the space of like, all right, I know what my list is. I've been practicing it on these other guys. I'm tired. Like I've been working hard on these dates and it hasn't worked out. So I'm swiping on 4th of July and I was saying yes to more guys because of what we had talked about and just being a little bit more ease with my rigid rules. And I saw his dog and I was like, and he was cute enough and he was holding 2 dogs and then there's a dog picture and I was like, yeah, whatever. That's a cool dog. Like, I just want to meet this dog. Like, honestly, I don't care anymore. And it ended up being like the love of my life. And he had nothing on his profile, nothing like that would have been like a winner or at anything. Like he had no like cute line that he had on there, no funny little witty thing. Like it was my energy. I was in an open state. I was in a trusting state and believing state of like, you know what? Like it's going to work out. I know what to do now. Like, who cares if this isn't the one? Like, just be more open and to the process of like possibility. And I didn't put any pressure on this one, I just, cause I don't know. And so the minute we started talking, I swear I knew, like, I just knew because we had the same sense of humor, the same texting style. Like there was never like an ick, ew moment with him. Like he never said anything like off-putting.
I love
and I was
that.
like, is it like easy where we're just like talking like we're best friends for 10 years and like so that's how it happened.
I love this. And wait a second, that's so important because the energy you had with him when you met, like we're chatting, you felt like you guys were best friends. Like it was so easy, right? You were
Yeah.
saying, I think that people like don't value they don't realize that. Like sometimes people are thinking it has to feel hard, it has to feel draining. But when you are actually talking to someone that you're aligned with, like it's your person, it's like, oh my God, this is so easy. This is so fun. Like, this is so great. Like, this can't be it, right? It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was still dating this other guy at the time, but he was so awful to me that and I could finally see that he was being awful. And it wasn't just me. Like he kind of flaked on me for 4th of July, which is why I was at home alone, kind of upset, but he kind of flaked on me on 4th of July. And I was really upset. Like I was like, damn, this was supposed to be my 4th of July. And he's kind of like being lame. But what I didn't do was go meet him and go take an Uber across fucking town and put myself in danger at 9:30 at night because he waited to text me until 9 o'clock. Like I said, no, I was like, I'm not going and engaging with this stupid like cycle anymore. I want to be with a guy who would never wait till 9 o'clock on the day that we had plans, PM, by the way, to text me where to go and then be like, oh, like we're on the boat. Like I was like beside I was like,
yeah,
I'm not coming. So I'm not coming. I finally have the self-worth to be like, fuck you. I'm not coming. I'm not putting myself in harm's way and getting in an Uber to go across town and meet you. We had already been dating at that point and it was so disappointing and awful that I was like, old Leven maybe would have like tried to play games and go there and show up and make out with this friend or whatever. But I was like, I'm just going to remove myself from this cycle and just sit at home. And it's 4th of July and I can hear people partying, but I don't care. I know what I want and it's not this. And I was upset, but I wasn't going to let it. I was just like, okay, this is a bye-bye moment. Like, and people would tell me I was crazy. Well, it's just 4th of July. He didn't know. I don't give a damn. Dawson, my boyfriend now, would literally never, like, he won't even let me go to the grocery store, like alone. And like, he's like, what do you need? What do you need? Like, and he goes and buys it. Like,
yeah.
I that existed,
sorry.
but it did. So, 4th of July was a bummer, but then I was just on Bumble, like, well, I guess I'm going to leave this guy. And I'm not guys.
I just wanted to say about that because that guy is telling you, it's not like he's such an awful person. He's just telling you what his priorities are and you're not it. And I
Right.
love what you said earlier, and I wanted to say that again, is that it's not like, it's not you, it's like anybody. It could be any woman that he is dating. He would have gone wherever he was going, boat and friends and whatever bullshit, and put you like, oh yeah, and by the way, like, come meet me now, like at night. And so like I feel like so many times we're like, well, what can I do? Like you said, the game, what can I do? What did I do? What can I do to make you love me or choose me? And you'll be waiting a long freaking day. Like that will never
Yeah.
happen. I love that
Yeah.
you were like, okay, you tell me where your priorities are. It's not me. Perfect. Bye bye. And I love that you just made space. I love that
Yeah.
you intentionally said bye bye. Like you're like, okay, I'm done with that, and I'm going to be able to have space to receive someone else. And like God, universe, always looking out for us. And they're like, oh, look, Leven has been
I mean,
intentional. She's ready
I
for something real.
too, like obviously I was bummed. We had been dating for a couple weeks at that point. And he kind of was acting like lame for the couple of days. And I was like, I can't do this, Leven. Like, don't do this. Don't chase this guy literally across town and get in this cycle with him. And so that meant I was home alone on 4th of July, you know, when I had this like romantic plan idea, and I was just like eating food and watching TV and swiping. And when I matched with Dawson, he like messaged me back right away, and I was probably like 10 o'clock on 4th of July at this point. And what I was used to was like guys partying. Yeah, I'm not with my homies on a boat, like, and I was like, hey, what are you up to? And he was like, oh, I'm just with my animals watching Vikings, you know, at home. And I was like, I love that. I was like, he wasn't trying to sound cool. He wasn't trying to sound like he had a bunch of cool, fancy plans. I loved that he was by choice, like chilling with animals at his house. Instantly, that was like a turn on to me. Like, I don't, dude, who's trying to even act cool. He's definitely acting like, you know, such a loser. And I was like, because at the end of the day, I was also alone at home. And I was like, if I'm being honest, I am too. Like, I'm not trying to impress and say I'm at some cool party. I'm not. I got ditched or whatever. So that was like gold to me when he said that. I was like, I've wanted someone like that who's not afraid to just be like, yeah, like I'm at home with my cat and 2 dogs. Like, it was just awesome.
I absolutely love this. I love this. I'm so freaking happy for you. I can't tell you. When, after you matched with him and started chatting, how much later, how many days later did you guys finally meet?
So he was living in Austin. I was in Houston at the time, but I knew I wanted to move to Austin. So I was already trying to pick matches that would be in Austin to kind of, I was going to get my own place. I was going to move here and start dating guys here. And so we FaceTimed like a few days after we matched and started talking. And so we FaceTimed, we started talking on like a Wednesday. I think we FaceTimed on Sunday. And I kind of blew it off a couple times, or like I kind of blew it off the first time because I was like, well, maybe, you know, maybe it's not as good as I thought. And then he kind of followed up. And I was like, all right, let me give it a chance, you know. And so yeah, and it wasn't, so yeah, we talked on Sunday.
Okay. And then when did you guys, yeah.
So after that, it was sort of like I was still kind of planning on moving to Austin, but I wasn't sure yet. And I was kind of getting my stuff together. And I think it was like maybe 2 weeks after, like, because we were texting every day, though. We were texting every day. And I didn't like Houston anymore. I was ready to move on. I really didn't want him to come there and take me out. Like, I was just ready to go to Austin and be in Austin, have that be my life. So he never like pressured me or was like, so when are we meeting up? Like, it was just a really easy flow conversation. And he was like, can't wait to meet you, can't wait to see you, kind of a thing. Or he'd be like, when are you heading back up here? When are you coming back? And I just didn't know yet. But then I mentioned wanting to see the Barbie movie. And he was like, maybe we could see it together. And I was like, oh my God, a guy would go see Barbie with me? Like, what? That's how much he cares. And like, again, he had been texting me every day and multiple times a day at this point. And so I was like, yeah, let's go see Barbie with this guy. Like, we'll drive him to Austin. I was like, hey, like, let's do it this weekend. And so this was 2 weeks of full chatting every day where I finally believed that this was like a real, you know, guy who was showing up for me every single day. Um, so yeah, I came up to Austin, and saw Barbie with him. And yeah, that's what happened.
I absolutely love that he was like, let's go see Barbie. Like,
And he like said
so sweet.
thought of buying the tickets, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Yeah. So and then
Yeah. Sorry,
we
sorry,
saw
sorry.
Barbie. Well, the fact that he was even down to see Barbie was showed me so much like maturity too. Like, not even that he was into me, but he's not gonna be like, no, I never want to see that freaking movie. Like, he was like, whatever I wanted to do is what he was gonna do, and he could just suck it up and be a man and go see the damn movie. So we went to see the movie, and it's obviously very triggering for men, and it just like kind of laughs at men, which I think is hilarious. And I was so concerned about his reaction was going to be. And so we got out of the theater, and he was like, I was like, what'd you think? He was like, I thought it was funny. He was like, it was really funny. Like, I was great. Like, he wasn't offended. He wasn't triggered. He wasn't gonna blast it. I was like, oh my God, this could be the one. Like, how to like take it on the chin and not be offended by it and have a million opinions about it, or be like, that was weird. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, it was funny. Like, men are, dumb sometimes, and we're just supposed to take it, and it's great. And I
I
was like, wow.
absolutely love that reaction of his because it shows that he's a secure man. Like, literally,
Yeah.
as Will actually enjoyed Barbie movie. He saw it with me and the girls. Like, it was like awesome just to see his reaction too. I feel like the biggest things about you guys, and I just feel the energy with you, Leven. I love it that you have been so authentic and real with him. It felt like even going into the movie, you guys were already emotionally connecting like prior, which I always think is absolutely huge. And I love that you like Barbie movie is a great date idea because it could totally trigger the fucking wrong guy. And you're like, okay, bye time. So I love that you're aware of that. And you're like, okay, eyes open, I'm listening. Like, what, you asked him, So I feel like I'm so pumped. Just last question before, because I'm dying to know. And I think the women would love to know when you guys met. I'm all about taking things slow physically. It's all about the emotional connection and like just keep that consistent. Have you followed the rules of Jackie Loor, taking things slow in the beginning when you first met?
I mean, I think I did more so than I would have. So yeah, we had been talking for, it might have bbeen 3 weeks at that point. Like,
now you're adding time. Now you're adding time.
Like, but let me pull my whiteboard. Run some numbers. It was 2 or 3 weeks, but so we saw the Barbie movie, and I ended up staying at his house that night because he lives out on a ranch. But I was like, can I stay here? The Barbie movie ended late. I don't want to drive 45 minutes back to my we had went to dinner, we were talking, then we were watching something on, Netflix, we're watching the Smart List thing and just laughing, having a good time with the dogs. And I was like, it was like 12:30, and I was like, so I think I want to sleep here. Is that okay? But I'm gonna sleep in your guest room, and you're not gonna come in, and you're not cuddling me, and we're not doing any of that. Is that cool? And he was like, yeah, like whatever you want. And so he had like 2 extra bedrooms, and I fully slept in his guest room. And there was no like funny business at all. And then I left and went back home on that Sunday. And I told him, like, I'm not having sex with anyone unless I'm in a committed relationship. And I didn't even know if I believed that, but I just said it because I needed that at that time. Like, I was like, I don't need any more sex. I need a committed relationship. And so, I mean, my God, yikes. So, I need my person, more random sex. Like, it doesn't matter to me anymore. And so I think it was a few weeks after that I came back, and we had been talking every day, building that emotional connection, FaceTiming every day at that point. So I was really seeing who he was. And so I came back like maybe 10 days later, and we had just grown so much emotionally on the phone. And so we were kind of making out and all of that when I was here. And I was like, hey, I'm not, like, if we're doing this, that means we're in a committed relationship. And he was like, done. And so we like decided to do that. Like,
I love it. And he wasn't like, I'm not ready for a relationship. How many fucking guys do that, right?
Hell no. God. Hell no. He was like, he basically said, I think on the first weekend, like, I'm in, like, so this is it. Like, yeah, we're whoa, dude, like, whoa, like, slow down, mister. But after the second trip, I was like, look, if I'm gonna make it work with somebody, it's gonna be him. So it might be kind of early to commit, but I had literally been dating for 5 freaking years.
Yes.
After you and I started working together, I had gone on more dates, like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 dates with guys. And once I had that list and I had that clarity and I met him, I was like, well, this is what I've been looking for. So am I supposed to keep looking? Am I supposed to keep dating? Like, this is literally it. So I guess, like, let's do this. I mean, isn't that so it was committing like very soon, but after 5 years of dating and then another, several months working with you, I was sort of like, I don't want to date anyone else because you are the things I've been looking for. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but let's do this. Let's try this. Let's do it. And so been 3 months, happier than ever. And so, yeah, we committed pretty soon, but whatever,
No, but I have to say something to that, because you said I recommitted pretty soon. I am all about alignment and not freaking timing. And you actually knew, like you were saying, you had all the clarity. You've done the inner work. You felt like this is totally aligned to you. I am all for committing early. We'll fucking propose 6 months in after we're official. What I'm saying is that the whole timing shit is like, trust yourself, and you did, and I love that you did. I'm so beyond proud of you. I absolutely love working with you always. You're like an inspiration to so many women are going to hear this and they'll be like, oh my gosh, wait a second, there's hope. And I really value this whole interview with you. I absolutely love you. You know this, and I appreciate you.
Oh, and you're coming to the wedding for sure. He's like, Jackie is my, like, I've told him about you, and he's like, she's, what do you say, babe? Guardian angel.
Does he want to pop his head in? He doesn't crash the call.
You want to crash our podcast? Huh? You want to crash our podcast? I have a shirt on. He just went for a 6-mile run, so he doesn't have a shirt on. Oh God, his 8-pack is going to be exposed.
Your 8-pack is welcome.
God forbid, babe, get over here.
Everyone's gonna go log in, subscribe to the YouTube podcast now after this.
He's now making his protein shake. Sorry, guys. He has his whole little Ken morning routine where he's like,
I love this.
I love to. He can take it too. Like, I totally give him a hard time and like laugh at him, in like a sweet way. But here he comes.
You guys are the cutest.
He's looking good this morning. This is my baby.
Hey.
We had an awesome interview. I loved hearing it. Yeah, sorry. You say?
My sweat love. I love it.
Thanks for crashing, Dawson. Thank you. And thanks for making her so happy. You guys are the cutest.
Rocky, ask him a question from a male perspective. Like, it's so interesting.
Oh,
like, how we met or started dating. Like, I want to hear it.
Oh my God, stop. This is actually a great idea. Dawson, if you don't mind, I'll ask you one question. Because everyone's so used to like playing the game and being surface level. And like Leven had really, one of the biggest things was like how to get deep and like really get that emotional connection and be freaking fearless. What was your impression of her when you started chatting online and her asking some probably real questions?
Chatting online?
Like on Bumble.
Yeah.
And then like when we met and I was kind of like asking, we went deep, right?
Well, when I saw her in person for the first time, I was like, okay, well, she's a dream. Just go all out. Like, what are you going to do? Like, be cheesy, be real. And she liked my realness from the jump. And she let me be myself. And I commented on her humor. And we really linked up that way. We spoke the same language. And I could tell she was funny, but I had no idea how funny she was. And then... And she got here. Yeah, I fell for her right when she got out of the car. So I was just like, okay, well.
But I remember when I asked you, like, do you want kids or what are you looking for? Like, I asked you those things and I asked you questions at the beginning, but it didn't scare you, I don't think.
It didn't scare me.
But there's
when she asked about kids, I was like, I don't not want kids. She was like, I do want kids. And I was like, yeah, I totally want kids. I don't know why I said that.
yeah.
And I feel like
I gave him permission to be deeper and realer too, because I was like, do you want kids? And he was like, I don't not want kids. And I kind of was like, eek, eek, eek. And I didn't say anything. And then he wrote, do you? And I was like, I do. And he was like, I totally do too. I don't know what I was like. I don't know why I said that. Like, I absolutely do. Like,
yeah. And she gave me one freebie, and I've been
honest ever since.
No inhibitions, since then.
But Dawson, let me ask you, did you say you weren't sure because like you were worried that you would scare her away, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Like I love.
Yeah.
And but because I was so honest, I was like, yup, I do. Like zero, like hesitation. He was like moments, like I do too. Like I just was afraid to say it, and like it gave you permission to be more.
Yeah, she green lighted me initially, and then she.
Because I think he was used to kind of not playing games, but not, I don't know, like not being as authentic in the beginning.
Well, I crashed and burned on a few people before, and it was, I felt like the message was play hard to get. Saw a few like sponsored YouTube ads that just hunt you down, that give you horrible advice, and I remember I watched something that came up. It was a partial ad because you had to pay for the rest of the vital information it was getting ready to provide you, that would have torpedoed me with her. But I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. I will do this. And I will not fail next time. And then I met her and I was like, sorry, I gotta be real. And she told me like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. And then she kind of told these stories about some guys that were trying to be her suitor before me, and they had taken that YouTube advice, and
they played hard to get with
she
me.
Leveled them and just said, yeah, sorry, try again with somebody else. And it was haunting to know how close I was to making that
fatal mistake.
Yeah, it still kind of scares me to talk about it now. It's like but yeah, I went with my heart.
Yeah, no, I felt like because we had talked and I had been talking to him, whenever he played a little hard to get, I felt like I called him out like right away. And because the guy before him, which we've talked about, admitted to playing hard to get with me, because I called him out too. And I was like, listen, we had plans and then you kind of flaked and then you've been gone for a week and you haven't called me. And like, what is that? Like, I'm not into that. And I feel like you're into me, but your actions. And he was like, oh my gosh, like I'm playing hard to get. All my friends tell me to be the asshole and no girl likes the nice guy. And I was like, well, that was a mistake, because while you were playing hard to get, I had a guy come into my life who has shown up for me every single day. And if he ever played a little bit hard to get, I called him out and he was like, yeah, you're right. Like, he had zero, like, so guys, I think the main takeaway
there's definitely a lot of bad advice being sold out there
for men too.
And I fortunately didn't take the bait, and she walked into my life, and yeah, game over. I'm done here. Like, I don't have to, we can talk about it, but it's not.
No, but like, this is gold. This is gold, Dawson. And I love that you said, oh my God, it's like haunting to even think about what could have happened in your life. If you took that fucking awful advice, you could have missed out on the best, like, love of your life. Like, oh my God, yeah.
Bad advice out there, but there's also a lot of really good advice with you, because you changed Levin's life, and of course now that means you changed my life.
What a sweetie, God.
Yeah.
I'm on the floor. Jackie's on the floor.
I have goosebumps. I am like, I can't with you guys. I love you guys. I literally am like chills. I love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. Your story is an inspiration. This is fucking gold advice for people to be honest and authentic and fucking fearless. I love you guys. I cannot wait to be there at the wedding. Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Sending you guys so much love. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.